Hi guys, well in the spotlight today we have the MSI Z370 GAMING PLUS. Now you'll have noticed that the mid-range boards have kind of now shifted in price compared to last season's Z270 chipset. So something which would usually cost you around $150 is now closer to that $200 mark. Well today in the Gaming Plus we have a board which is definitely more accessible. And this could be ideal, for those that are wanting to jump onto the Coffee Lake bandwagon with just the basics. Regarded as an entry-level Z370 board, the Gaming Plus features a modest theme, which breaks away from the black and the grey designs that we've recently seen. For gamers, this board should satisfy most needs, with a set of features which cover the minimum requirements. So what is the cost for Gaming Plus here? Well, it's $129 in the UK and it's $129 in the US as well, so that is considerably less than what we've seen up until this point. But the question is there any compromises and are there any cutbacks? Well, let's find out. Okay, well this is the box that Gaming Plus arrives in. As you can see, very basic. Over on the back we have a picture of the board and then some of those features which you've probably seen on other MSI boards. And inside the box we have this tray here with the board. As you can see there, in an anti-static bag just to keep it nice and protected while it's on its way to you. Just put this to the side. We have the accessories. Now this is pretty basic as you can expect from this board here. We have the leaflet for registering, rear I/O shield, just 2 SATA cables, driver CD with your utilities, quick installation guide to get up and running, and then your user manual for troubleshooting any problems. Okay, so here is our Gaming Plus. And so at last we have a model which uses a bit of colour. It's pretty obvious that we are looking here at an entry-level board, as a lot of the features and the heatsinks aren't as eye-catching or colossal. And perhaps that identifies that a lot of the visuals on boards are purely designed for style rather than substance. And so we're relying on a matte black PCB with black and red ports. The use of lighting on Gaming Plus has been kept to a minimum on this occasion, with just red being the option and just the isolation line there over the audio offering the only illumination. However, we do get an RGB header for use with lighting strips inside your case, and that one there is located at the bottom of the board. And as we expect, this board here conforms to the ATX form factor, so it will fit inside most mid-towers. Moving on to a more detailed look at the features, we first of all arrive at the CPU socket. So this board here uses socket 1151 version 2. This here is specifically for Intel's 8th generation of processors such as the 8700K. Now Kaby Lake is also socket 1151, but 7th gen processors do not work on this board. Gaming Plus sports a 6-phase power design, and that is fed by an 8-pin connector. Sitting over the MOSFETs we have a double heatsink design. Both of these heatsinks are quite small and they are not joined by a heat pipe. Now we get a total of 6 fan headers, which is pretty decent for a board of this caliber. One of those is designated for CPU fan, while another is specifically for water pumps. Next we have the memory, which allows for dual channel DDR4, up to 64 gig, up to 4000 MHz frequency, and we have XMP support. And even on this budget motherboard, we have DDR4 boost, which is MSI's method there of isolating the pathway between the memory and the CPU for a cleaner signal. Just next to the memory we have the Easy Debug LED panel, which helps you diagnose any problems on post. Now while we don't have USB 3.1 headers on this board, we do have twin USB 3 headers. One is top facing while the other is right angled. Moving on to the storage, we have 6 SATA 3 ports, 4 of which are right angled while the other 2 are top facing. And then we also get a single M.2 slot, which is PCI Express Gen 3 X4 and is Intel Optane memory ready. And we're pleased to see that if we do install an M.2 SSD, it won't sit underneath a graphics card because of the good placement. Just behind the SATA ports, we have quite a dainty little heatsink sitting on top of the Z370 chip. And again, this just highlights to us perhaps that, some of these oversized heatsinks that we see on other boards are purely for aesthetics. Now, over in the PCI Express region, this is populated by 2 PCI Express 3.0 x16s and 4 PCI Express 3.0 x1s. And the modes for each of those x16s are 16 and 4. So we can install 2 graphics cards, although we only have support here for AMD Crossfire. That is something there to bear in mind. If you are using one card, then it is advisable there to use that top slot, as that offers the full 16. And that one has also been given the metal shielding just to support the slot and alleviate any interference. The audio components are located right next to the PCI Express, and where we now see most Z370 boards using Realtek 1220, Gaming Plus actually uses Realtek ALC 892, which is sat in between those Chemicon audio caps. As part of the package, we also get depop protection, separated left and right channels, and all of this kit is physically isolated with an LED border which prevents any interference with the audio signal. Okay, and last of all we have the rear I/O section of Gaming Plus, and we have the following: PS2 keyboard mouse combo port, 2 USB 2 ports, D-sub with DVI-D, DisplayPort 1.2, gigabit LAN that is via the Intel i219 controller, with 2 USB 3.1 Gen 1 ports below, and then another 2 USB 3.1 Gen 1 ports, and then all of the audio ports which are gold plated. And so we have no USB 3.1 Gen 2, nor do we have HDMI or optical out for the audio. But this may well be enough for a lot of people who are just wanting to get the very basics out of Z370. Okay, well that is the MSI Z370 Gaming Plus. MSI has done a good job with this board. It looks great, it arrives at an acceptable price, and it provides you with all of the essential features for basic usage. However, as you come to expect, there have been a few cutbacks on this board. No USB 3.1 Gen 2 ports on the back, the twin headers, no 3.1 there either, and there is just a single M.2 for your SSDs. And while we do get the multi-GPU support, there is no NVIDIA SLI support, so it's just AMD Crossfire. And there is no integrated RGB lighting either, just the single strip here by the audio, which is red LED, which actually might come as a blessing to those of you who loathe the RGB craze. So there have been some obvious adjustments, but we are still getting the 4000 MHz DDR4 support, twin USB 3 headers, and of course DDR4 boost and audio boost as well. So it gives you that passage to Coffee Lake without spending too much cash. However, if you're a subscriber to our channel, you'll know that we reviewed the Extreme 4 just recently, which costs just £20, $20 extra, and included we get the features which this board misses out on. So it is my opinion that this board here should be, just slightly lower than the asking price of $129. Based on what we get, it should be really closer to that 100 mark, and I'm hoping that MSI can nudge that price down just a little bit to kind of stay more competitive. So guys, if you want to know how this board here performs and how far the overclock we can get on the 8700K, be sure to check out the full review. Link is on the screen and in the description. A big thanks to you guys for watching today. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and I'll see you guys next time.